Hello, welcome to Rando Tech Info, and today we are taking a long hard look at Google's first Wear OS device to see if it wound up living up to the hype. Now if you are an observant sort, you may have noticed the Still the One subtitle of this video, with a question mark. And if you did notice it, you might be saying to yourself, I never knew the Pixel Watch was the one. So let me give you some context. For the past couple of years, I've had several Wear OS devices in my smartwatch rotation, like the Fossil Gen 6, Galaxy Watch 4 Classic, TicWatch Pro 3 and Pro 3 Ultra, Fossil Gen 6 Wellness Edition, and the Galaxy Watch 5, just to name a few. And the watch I would wear would depend on the situation I was in. If I wanted something that looked good, I would go with one of the Fossils or the Watch 4 Classic. If I wanted something lighter or more comfortable, I would go with the Watch 5 or the TicWatch. But once I started using the Pixel Watch, I just stopped switching, and this is due to a number of reasons. And perhaps the biggest of those reasons is because with the Pixel Watch, I no longer had to choose between style and comfort. I really like the look of the Pixel Watch, especially when using a watch face that complements its rounded waterfall style form factor. I got the polished silver version, but I think the champagne gold and matte black options also look good. Admittedly, it does have some chonky bezels, especially for a smaller watch, and the lack of a physical bezel can leave it more prone to damage. But with the exception of a couple of very small micro scratches that I can't even get to show up on camera, the watch looks the same as it did when it left the box. So the Gorilla Glass does seem to be doing its job. And while the smaller size won't be to everyone's liking, it's definitely one of the reasons this watch is so comfortable to wear. The Pixel Watch weighs in at just 36 grams. That combined with its 41mm diameter size meant that when I wasn't looking at it, I usually forgot I had it on. Now that 41mm size is the only size the watch comes in, and yes, if I had a choice, I would have probably chosen something larger. But once I got used to the smaller display of the Pixel Watch, I really didn't mind it. However, a larger size might have been able to help out with the smartwatch's biggest issue. More on that later. The watch's AMOLED display is also colorful, bright, and compares well to other top-end wearables. I am also a big fan of the physical buttons on the Pixel Watch. The top button sits flat at the top right of the glass casing, which means the digital crown is really the only button you will see, and it gives the watch a nice, clean, and classic look. The buttons are also easy to press and responsive. At least they were for me, although I have heard other reviewers complain about the top button being a little difficult to get to. In fact, the overall responsiveness of the watch is actually something that has really surprised and impressed me, especially since it's packing a chip from 2018 and is a full generation behind the one you will find in the latest Galaxy watches. But if anything, the Pixel Watch feels more responsive than my Galaxy Watch 5, especially when using the Google Assistant, which I use a lot. And speaking of Google Assistant, as far as I am aware, the Pixel and Galaxy watches are still the only smartwatches running the latest version of Wear OS that can use it, which is kind of weird. Predictably, the Wear OS experience on the Pixel Watch feels very clean and very stock out of the box. But with access to the Google Play Store, you still have plenty of additional apps and customization options to choose from. It's not quite as feature-rich as the Samsung skin version of the Galaxy Watch, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing and is probably one of the major reasons the watch feels so snappy. However, I do really hope that Google copies the Galaxy Watch's customizable app drawer at some point down the road. While we're talking about features, one of my favorite features about the Pixel Watch is the fact that it's Android agnostic, which means there really aren't any exclusive features when paired to a Pixel phone. You will get the full Pixel Watch experience regardless of whatever Android phone you carry. To me, this is a major advantage of the Pixel Watch, especially if you are someone who isn't loyal to any one ecosystem. Other specs and features of the watch fall in line as you would expect. It has a 5 ATM water resistance rating, which makes up for the lack of an official IP rating. It has a solid speaker and mic setup. Hey, you're on Rando Tech Info. Say something interesting.
Your smartphone is more powerful than a computer the size of a room in the 1960s.
And quick release watch straps that release pretty quick, especially after some practice. However, that quick release convenience comes at a cost, as it prevents you from using a traditional watch strap, which will greatly limit your fashion and style choices, and leave you with having to choose from Google's rather pricey first-party offerings or the third-party offerings on Amazon, which I can tell you from my own experience can be very hit or miss. The watch also has really solid Bluetooth connectivity. Faithfully and reliably delivered all notifications from my phone to my wrist quickly and without issue. And since being able to view my notifications without having to pull my phone out of my pocket all the time is one of the biggest reasons I wear a smartwatch, this was actually pretty important. And although I personally don't make use of it very often, the watch is also NFC capable for all of your Google Pay needs as well. Now let's talk health and fitness tracking. Perhaps one of the biggest reasons to choose this watch over other wearables is it's the only option if you want to combine the features of Wear OS and Fitbit. The Pixel Watch was my first foray into the Fitbit universe, and I have to say, for the most part, I like it. It has a very playful and gamified experience, especially when compared to the fitness apps I am used to using, like Google Fit and Samsung Health. And while I'm not a fitness expert, it did seem to do a pretty good job of tracking my activities and biometrics. It covers most of the health tracking basics you would expect, like steps, miles, and calories, and it has continuous heart rate tracking. And your stats can be viewed on the watch or on the downloaded Fitbit app on your phone, which is a separate app than the Pixel Watch app you will need to pair the watch to your phone. And while this isn't a particularly efficient way to do things, it's how all other Wear OS devices are managing things right now as well. Fitbit also has some features I had never seen before, like a readiness score, which uses your Fitbit data to help you assess if you are exercise ready or if you should consider a rest day. Sadly, the readiness score, along with several other tracking features like more detailed sleep tracking, are locked behind a premium paywall, and unlocking those features will cost you $10 a month. Now don't get me wrong, non-premium Fitbit health tracking is still pretty good and covers most things I think most people would want. But I just have an issue spending money to unlock access to data that the watch is already tracking, especially when Samsung Health does most of the same things and it's completely free. And the Galaxy Watch is actually able to track some things that the Pixel Watch can't, like your body composition and oxygen saturation levels. The Pixel Watch does have an oxygen sensor, but you can't actually use it to take readings.
Well, that's stupid.
So while I do like Fitbit on the Pixel Watch, I'm not sure how much better I like it than other fitness alternatives, especially ones that don't require a monthly subscription.
I totally get that.
Now earlier I said we would swing back around to talk about this watch's biggest issue, and I have put that off for as long as I can. As previously reported by several other tech influencers and reviewers, the battery life on the Pixel Watch is indeed trash.
Well,
When I first started wearing the Pixel Watch, it struggled to make it through the day. Sometimes it made it, and sometimes it didn't, depending on my usage. And then after a couple of updates, I felt like the watch got better, and for a while I was consistently getting through a full day of use. Not much more than that, mind you, but still, battery life was almost decent. But over the last couple of months, things have gotten worse, and at present, things are worse than ever. To the point that in order to get through a 24-hour period, I had to remember to charge the watch in the morning, after I woke up, before I left the house, and I had to remember to do an additional charge at night for around 30 to 60 minutes before I went to bed. And while I wouldn't say my typical day of smartwatch usage isn't exactly light, I'm not out running any marathons or doing any multi-hour workouts either.
I don't go to the gym, I'm just naturally like this.
Compounding this issue is less than freaky fast charging speeds. If the watch had fast charging similar to that of the Fossil Gen 6 series, then the morning top-off would probably be enough to keep the watch going, which would be a much more sustainable daily routine. Now this is all assuming you want to use the watch for sleep tracking, which I do. But if you are happy to leave the watch on the charger overnight, then you should have no issue with the watch getting you to bedtime every day, and the battery life won't be an issue. Finally, you can pick up the Google Pixel Watch right now from the Google Store, the Zon, and several other retail outlets for $350, unless you want 4G connectivity, in which case the watch will set you back $400, which ain't exactly cheap, especially when you can grab the Pixel Watch's biggest Wear OS competitor, the Galaxy Watch 5, for $280. So at the end of the day, is the Pixel Watch still the one? Sadly, for me, no. Now don't get me wrong, the Pixel Watch is not a first-generation dumpster fire, and I feel like Google is actually off to a promising start here. But with the expiration of my free 6-month premium Fitbit trial, it just felt like it was time for me to move on. And truth be told, I could probably live with basic Fitbit and probably be okay. But the Fitbit situation combined with the battery life and charging situation was just a bit much. Because at the end of the day, while I really enjoyed most of the time I spent using the Pixel Watch, it was the time that I couldn't use it that was the biggest problem. Well, that's all the information I have for one day. If you are a current or recovering Pixel Watch user, it would be great to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That way we can all learn from each other and make more informed buying decisions. As always, I hope you found this video useful. Thank you for watching, and until next time, this is Rando Tech Info, signing out.